So here's the visual for how to make my homemade Rosca de Reyes or Three Kings Day bread. It's this orangey, fruity deliciousness that's popular on January 6th in Mexico. So let's get started on preparing our dough for this bread. So I highly recommend you use a high power mixer with a dough hook, a weight kitchen scale for accurate weight of your ingredients, and then the following. Start by adding all of your wet ingredients into your mixer and just giving it like a gentle mix. Then add your dry ingredients. I usually do salt followed by flour and then yeast and sugar at the end to make sure that salt and yeast don't get mixed together. Start your mixer up at a slow speed because your flour will kind of puff out of the bowl, and then increase your speed to like medium high once you are able. If you don't have a mixer at home, you can also knead this on a floured surface for about 15 minutes. It's a lot harder work, but it will also work. And kind of similar to what you would do if you're kneading on a floured surface, I have played around with this dough a lot, and I get the best texture when I add 5 to 8 tablespoons of flour to the dough while it is kneading. So you'll just do this very gradually, a little bit at a time. Sometimes I will rearrange my dough, kind of scrape the edges of the bowl and add my flour to the edges of the bowl. All of those things just kind of help it take its soft, natural shape. It takes a long time though, so you do really have to dedicate 10 minutes or more to get the right texture. This dough is finicky, so instead of thinking of time, think of texture. This is too sticky, still falling apart, too sticky, too sticky. Notice how I check it periodically. And okay, this is a good sign when it starts to lump together like this. Give it a little bit more of a knead, and you will notice when it gets soft and stretchy where you can almost see like a window pane through the dough, that's your sign that it's ready. Then you can go ahead and kind of squish together your dough and transfer it into a ceramic or glass dish, cover with plastic wrap and a towel, and put it in a warm place. I like to do some other baking so that my stovetop stays warm, and that helps my dough prove a little bit faster. Once your dough has about doubled in size, which usually takes about 2 hours, but sometimes longer, punch all the big air bubbles out of it because your first proof is done. So punch the big air bubbles out. Kind of try to do this gently. You want to keep it as a solid disc or ball as much as you can. So this next part requires the most finesse. So take your dough and just gently poke a hole through the center. Try not to rip any pieces of the dough completely apart. And then just do this gentle stretching until you can make an evenly sized oval all the way around. Cover it in plastic wrap and cover with a dish towel. And try to keep it, again, in a nice warm place for about 45 minutes for that second proof. And in the meantime, you can start your decorations. To make the decorative paste, start with half a stick of room temperature butter with half a cup of powdered sugar. And I like a hand mixer for this. You get a little bit more control, and just be patient. You'll see it goes from powdery, it will transfer into kind of crumbly, and then all of a sudden it becomes this magical creamy texture. Then just add your egg yolk and half a cup of regular all-purpose flour, and again mix until you get a thick paste. Make that into a little rectangle and wrap in cling wrap and refrigerate for 30 minutes. Then go ahead and prepare your egg wash. So that's just an egg with 1 or 2 tablespoons of water, and mix them well until it's like a little bit frothy. You can also prep your fruit decorations. So this is all candied fruit. I get this guava paste or ate off of Amazon or at the Mexican grocery store. Those are these little red strips. They're very sticky, but they're pretty durable. So you need about 12 of those little strips. I cut it the long way so that it fits across my bread. And then I cut a few candied green or red cherries in half. And I have just a handful of orange peel. Then once it's been 30 minutes, you can take your decorative cookie paste out of the refrigerator. It should be somewhat firm, and you will cut that into 6 strips. In the video, I'm cutting them the long way, but you can also do it the short way because this is kind of something that you can manipulate as you put it on the bread so that it fits the right size. These little cookie strips kind of expand as they bake. So you don't want them to be much bigger than the width of your bread, or they kind of spill out over the sides. And as you check your dough after that second proof, it should be springy. It should look like it's, almost doubled, not quite doubled up, but it's gotten larger again. And then you're going to go ahead and apply that egg wash with a pastry brush. So just paint it on. This is something that my kids really like to help with when they're around as well. So make sure you get on the sides along that inner edge and give it a really good egg coating. Then grab those 6 even strips of decorative paste and kind of smush them down a little bit. Again, you might have to rearrange these a little bit. You don't want them hanging off too long. So notice here I've made these kind of long. I'm going to make them a little bit shorter so that they're at the exact width of my bread or just shy of it. And I'm going to evenly space them along my bread. Then add your guava strips. I like to put one on each side of my decorative cookie paste, and then add your cherries in any other open spaces. And I like to sprinkle orange peel or any other candied fruits along that area. Sprinkle the top with cane or white sugar and pop it into the oven. You'll want to bake 10 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, followed by 10 to 12 minutes at 375. Make sure you have this nice dark golden color and 190 degrees internal temp, and then you can just enjoy your wonderful bread.